Listen to this episode if you are trying to build a community around your brand and you're like, how do I actually build a community around a product or a brand? What does that even really mean? That's what we're going to talk about today. You know that I preach community building around brands, around your product, because it is a major factor in longevity. It's a major factor in sustainability, in productivity, in truly profitability in your business. Because once you have a community, you are able to do anything that you want. You're able to pivot, you're able to scale, you're able to grow a lot quicker, you're able to take a break, you're able to expand your product line, you're able to grow a lot more seamlessly. And so community truly is the biggest asset that you have as a business owner. Your community is everything. And this is a question that I actually got asked within my Small Business Cafe free podcast community. They said, how do I actually build a community around a product? Context is I follow you and love your podcast, but I never really understand what you mean when you say to build a community. What really is a community? If this is online, how do I actually go about building a community? Now, this is one of my favorite topics. And I think I could say that pretty much about so many topics, but this is one of my favorite topics to talk about because it is something that makes such a major difference. I am so passionate about it. And so today we are going to first talk what it takes a strong understanding of to build a community, as well as some tangible building strategies that you actually have to start focusing on. If you're new here, I'm your host, Madison Page. I am the host of the Small Business Growth Podcast. I am a business growth specialist. I love to teach people how to build their brands with sustainability by building a ride or die community around their brand. Now, no matter who I talk to, if you are just starting a business, if you're making $1,000 a month, if you're making $1 million a year, I am looking at your community building strategies. I have worked with national global brands on helping them infuse more community into their brand because it is one of the biggest markers of success, health, longevity, everything into your business. And today I really want to answer this question that is a really, really wonderful one. So first things first is, what does it take a strong understanding of? It takes a strong understanding of your ideal customer. What is their desired state? What is their motivation? Like what are their likes? What are their dislikes? What are the things that we can really connect with people on? You really need to know your ideal customer because your ideal customer are the community members that we're trying to build. And if you don't know who you're even trying to attract, it's going to actually be very hard to attract that person because you don't know what you got to say. You don't know who you're trying to attract to. You don't know what is actually going to call to them. You don't know what is actually going to magnetize them. So it's going to be really hard to build a community. The next one is that your message behind the brand, basically the movement or differentiator that you are creating behind your product. Are you changing the narrative? Are you providing a different benefit? Are you creating a product that is perfect for a certain type of person? Are you creating a different style around your brand that people are going to be obsessed with? What is it that sets you apart from everybody else? And you need to know that because, again, your ideal customer needs to absolutely desire that one thing. Those two things have to go hand in hand. Otherwise, it's going to be really hard for you to actually differentiate, for you to actually attract and magnetize people. Last but not least is your branding vibes and the feeling that they will love. These three things work very closely together: the ideal customer, the differentiator, and the branding. If you've taken my free training that's about standout social media, you know that these are the trifecta foundations that I teach in order to stand out. It's the same reason, is because if you are trying to build a community and you don't have like a visual that your ideal customer loves, you don't really know who your ideal customer is, you don't know why they should love your product, it's going to be really hard for people to actually really attach to you. So these three things are things you need a strong understanding of before you can even think about building a community. Because if you don't know who you're trying to attract, if you don't know why they should care about your product, and if you don't know how you're actually going to visually magnetize them, building a community is actually going to be incredibly hard. This is why those three things are the foundations within like the first things that I teach every single client that I work with. Is I look at those three pieces, make sure that they're there. When you hear a brand that says, while I just started my brand and it kind of all just started working out. It's because they had those three things really solid and the community building process was actually really easy for them. I have plenty of clients that are making, 400, 600, $1 million a year. And what they're looking at. And when I say, how did you start? They're like, I don't know. I just like started it. I got clear on what I was creating. I started it and people just started to kind of come. That's because they were really good at those three major pieces. That's how people really stand out. Now, if you're like, all right, I have those things. Now, how do I build a community around them? What does that really mean? So, at the core of a community, I want you to think about a community, like a local community that you have. Whether, let's say, you're at the Chamber of Commerce in your local community, what is the purpose of a chamber of commerce, or what is the purpose of a mom's walking group, or like what is the purpose of those things? It is connection, it is collaboration, and it is communication. When we look at a chamber of commerce, the communication is that people can get their ideas out of what they should do. The collaboration is that we can work together to build a better community for everybody. The connection is to connect with people locally that can help you, that can support you, that can provide you value, and that you can also support with or be friends with or like have something in common with. So we're constantly going back to these three C's of community building: connection, collaboration, and communication. But at some point, we deemed online to be a totally different process than what we deem building a community in person. What would you do if you were trying to build a community locally? You would say, I'm going to make a couple get togethers and I'm going to have us sit down and have connection driven content. I'm going to look at like minded individuals locally to me. I'm going to plan something. I'm going to reach out to them and say, hey, people that are moms, like with young moms, new moms, we're going to do a group in town because we really want to have these like-minded people together. What would you do? You might have a topic that you're going to talk about at every meeting, but you're really just going to harness connection and collaboration and communication with each other if you are going to build something like that. It's the same thing that goes for building community online, but at some point we put this like order up that we're a professional and they are our customers, and so we need to all of a sudden be robotic, and it doesn't actually have to be heart led. We started to look at likes, we started to look at reach, we started to look at numbers and vanity metrics as opposed to like humans and heartbeats and relationships of what we're building. But relationships, when you have strong relationships, it's when people start to refer you to others. It's when people start to talk about you to everybody else. It's when people start to rave about you. It's when people have brand loyalty to you because you've provided them so much value, so much connection, so much that they are so hooked on just being a part of your brand. That is what it means to build a community. So, tangible building strategies. One, they have clarified messaging to create content to attract the right people. Meaning, if you're building a mom's group, what are you going to say? You're going to say, hey, as new moms, we have a lot of needs that are probably not being met. We have just birthed life. We are having a lot of experience that some of your other friends might not relate to. Hey, like we have a lot of new responsibilities that we've never covered before. Come and talk about it. It's the same thing as building a community online. You're saying, hey, we have this brand, we have this value, we know you have this problem, we have this product that is going to solve it. It's creating messaging that is going to actually call to that person. This is why you need to know your ideal customer, because you need to be able to create content they're going to feel connected to. The next one is you need to have connection at the core of everything that you are doing. You need to focus on the relationship over the algorithms. Ask them questions. Make your social media a two-way approach. You need to actually make your business building endeavors a more collaborative process. People feel more connected to things that they are a part of, that they have, that they can share their opinions on, that they are feeling like they're involved in the actual making process. That is how people feel connection. We have to go back to looking at business as a way to build connection and two-way communication and harness collaboration within your business. I think a lot of people look at their business as like, well, I'm the business owner. I make all of the decisions and people just have to follow me because it's what I want to create. But no, the only thing that matters is your consumers. The things that matter is that your consumer likes what you have, that they feel a part of it, that they feel connected to it, that they really feel it. Otherwise, you're just going to be creating products, fingers crossed that people like it, fingers crossed that people want to buy it. Instead, if we can make it a more collaborative process, now that doesn't mean You need to ask your audience about everything. That doesn't mean that your audience has to make all of these major business decisions for you. You always still have the final say. You always can allow yourself to be, you are the creating driving force, but you need to allow your community to be a space that people feel like they are gaining support, that they have like-minded people around, that they're a part of, that we have kind of this collaboration around. I want you to think of your marketing like a chamber of commerce meeting that you're trying to push people into a certain area. Of course, it is different than a chamber of commerce meeting. That's not exactly how we're going to do it. You're not just trying to only build community, but when we're talking about community building, I want you to think of it that way. How can we build that moms group? How can we build this chamber of commerce where people are coming in? And maybe it's not even a chamber of commerce. I have truly no idea what a chamber of commerce is. Maybe it's a town hall. Who knows? I'm talking like a town hall where people come and they're like all voicing their opinions. Who send me a DM, whatever that is, comment it below. I don't know what that's actually called. I think it's a town hall, chamber of commerce. You know what I mean. You're sitting down, you're saying, hey, I think we should do this. Hey, I don't like that there's dogs running all over the street all the time. Like, people are coming and they're voicing their opinions. They're voicing, like, they're saying, hey, do you also feel this way? Hey, I'm dealing with these things. You're building a community. I want you to think of what the core of a community is. It's shared values, it's like-mindedness that you can share about, it's collaboration, it's communication, it's feeling seen, heard, and loved. And that is what we want your brand to be. Now, this isn't like woo-woo, really up in the air, like super fairies and like lovey and empowerment. Like, yes, of course, but it really is it's intentionally finding similarities to your ideal customer and using proper messaging in order to collaborate with them, in order to really call that proper person in. It all stems from having aligned ideal customers within your audience. It all stems from creating content that actually attracts your right people based on the messaging that you have and the visuals that you have. So everything we're doing is to put a human approach back to business. Now, there's like two major different types of marketing. There's transactional and then there's relationship marketing. Transactional marketing is the like very bro-y, very masculine, mass market. Let me push as many ads out like as possible and just like let me make a quick buck. Now, that marketing does work, but it's kind of like a constant roller coaster of trying to acquire new people. A relationship driven marketing strategy is actually creating strategy around relationships, around keeping people, around extending your customer lifetime value, around increasing your average order value, around increasing your customer retention rate, because it's much cheaper and easier to retain a customer than it is to actually go out and try to find new ones all the time. So we try to have a return customer rate that's strong and healthy, but also means that we're still having enough new people come in. We try to have high average order value. We're trying to look at how often are people rebuying, high referral rates. All of those things mean that you have a really strong community at the end. It's okay in your marketing to repel people. If you are trying to attract everybody, if you're saying, my ideal customer is moms between the ages of 25 and 45, that is great. That's fine, but that is way too many people. You can't just say my audience is women between the ages of 25 and 45. That is a demographic. That is not an ideal customer. An ideal customer is an avatar, a very specific person, and it's okay for you to repel some people, because if you're not repelling somebody, you're too broad. You're trying to attract too many people, and your messaging is going to actually just be vague and kind of stagnant. It's just going to not actually attract anybody. If you're not repelling people, you're also probably not attracting the right aligned, very niche amount of people. So with everything with a community, you have to niche down. You have to know who they are. You have to know why they would want your product, why they would want to follow you, and what makes you so different than everybody else that is going to allow for people to really come in and get there. So now the person that asked this question said, how do I get started with this? I'm posting on social media. How do I really get started with it? I want you to really think about the collaboration, the connection, and the communication within your audience. Do you have a strong enough ideal customer? Do you know what they eat for breakfast? Do you know what nail polish color they would wear to their best friend's wedding? Do you know that person well enough to know their biggest fears and their biggest motivations in life? Do you know what is the differentiator you're saying about your brand that person would literally die for? That person is like, holy cow, I'm obsessed with that. I need more of this. Do you know the visuals and the style that person would naturally feel drawn to, that they would see you on a board of a whole bunch of other people that sell your same thing and they would feel more drawn to you over everybody else? If the answer is no, we have to start there. I hope that this was helpful for you. Community building is literally, if you spend 50% of your time right now that you spend on developing new products, or that you spend launching new products, or that you spend at markets, oh my gosh, if you spend 50% of the time that you spend at markets just focusing on building a community, you would meet your sales goals in 90 days. You would meet your sales goals in 6 months. You would have that major sales milestone this year that you want to have, because community building is that strong. This is how my clients go from making $5,000, $1,000 a month. This is how my clients go from making $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month to 7, 8, 9, 10, and beyond. This is how I bring my clients from making, maybe $200,000 a year to $500,000 a year, is because we focus on building community. This is how I was able to extend the customer return rate, the actual brand loyalty of a major national brand, to industry disrupting levels, because we focused on building community, because they refer you, they come back, they buy more, they love you. If you want to build a brand that disrupts, if you want to build a brand that goes the absolute distance, if you want to build a brand that becomes a household name, you need to focus on building a community. And it's not just like, let me ask them a couple questions. We have strategies behind it. There is a method behind it. I studied community building in college. Like, I studied, what does it take to build communities, to build like a movement, to build groups of people. And that is what you have to infuse within your marketing. I hope this was helpful for you. I hope this was inspirational for you. Let me know if you have any questions. As always, if you want to ask me a question to answer on one of my next podcasts, click the link in the show notes for the Small Business Growth Cafe. It is our free podcast community where we connect deeper. You get to gain access to other small business owners, and you get some bonus resources, as well as you can ask those other business owners questions and get their responses from there. And you can submit questions for this podcast. I hope you have a wonderful day. I love you. I'm rooting for you. I'm in your corner always. Get out there and start building some community.